Actually, you know what? I don't know that much about PvP. Do you build more than one dog? Are we allowed to build more than one dog, or is it just hedgehogs?
There's two schools of
Yeah, I
thought.
mean,
Yeah, go.
you go ahead. Go ahead.
There's two schools of thought from what I can see. School of thought number one is double racks, one mech bay, and then go from there and basically pressure your opponent with your scouts while you get up a decent enough hedgehog timing. The idea being that if you have like close positions on a 2-player map, or you're willing to gamble on a 4-player map, you just surround them and overtax their micro, and then you have not only faster units but more of them, and you basically say every hedgehog shot they have doesn't matter because half of them are hitting units that you can instantly make. The other school of thought is, why would I do that? I'm just good. We're gonna have 2 mech bays, and then we're gonna have 1 racks, then we're gonna go 2 mech bays. The only adaptation I've seen is that you make 2 and then 1 mech bay, and then you like decide your level of greed based on what you scout initially, and instantly sack the second barracks, which allows you to calculate your greed based on what you see your opponent do. So go on, Jayxp. You know these things more than me. What am I missing? How off am I?
No, pretty correct. That's pretty spot on. Just in this game, I don't even remember what I did this game. I like to build 5 dogs usually, and then go for the camps, and then salvage one, and then go for a hedgehog. It's usually the standard play. But I think this game I decided to go mass dogs, which I don't think it worked out. I don't know. It's difficult mass dogs. You need the right composition to make it work.
It's cool seeing you and Scan in a series, just because like now that I know that you guys are practice partners, like I wonder how like the mind games that you guys are, or what you guys are thinking right now, knowing that you understand each other's strategies pretty well.
So in this game, I was kind of surprised he went 3 lances, and I thought I thought he was just gonna walk across the map and kill me. Thankfully, that didn't happen. So clearly he's just taking the camp.
Yeah, and once he's inside of the health camp, there's no challenging that. Oh, by the way,
yeah.
I forgot to introduce everything. This is episode 14, 15 maybe of Stormgate crashing. Don't know, don't care. This is Frank, and everyone on the couch say your name.
I'm Jayxp123. Oh.
No, it works better when people
I'm
talk over each other. And C Clempe's in here too.
Jayxp123.
Possibly.
Nice to meet you guys. Having a bit of a voice change.
I'm also Jayxp123.
I'm Jayxp124. The first 123 had to be sacrificed on the altar of my new identity.
So for cross spawns on these big maps like this, it must also be interesting because now both players have like equal access to the same camps, but we're not seeing. Well, I guess we're seeing Scan is kind of up in taking camps, but do you normally see that the map gets split diagonally in terms of camps before we see any kind of aggression? Because you, with your initial dogs, seemed like you wanted to get in there and start like doing work.
Yeah. In this game, it was just a little unfortunate for me because he went for a Lancer opener, so that means he already has a head start in doing all the camps. So this is me trying to catch up in camp. But I realized my aggression at first didn't really work, so he's just kind of ahead in economy, like inherently, just because of the camps.
Yeah.
How much of that has to do with the natural? Because if the natural has a ramp like that, I'm getting very much the use Hellions to block at the top of the ramp feeling. Like, is aggression too risky because they could just park Lancer Hedgehog at the top and you might just walk into a death?
They can. The thing is with dogs, you have they can see through the fog of war, so it's actually less risky than you would think.
Okay.
And then this game, he's just taking all the camps. I'm way behind at this point. Way behind. He also has double health camps. Eventually, getting the health camp is important in this matchup, just because, especially on this map, just because the global passive is additive. So you get a ton of health regeneration if you get all the camps.
Now,
Also, it also means that medtech mech is indefatigable. So yeah, go on, Frank. You got it.
Sentry posts don't they don't maintain camps, right? Like if you build a sentry post on top of a camp, it won't prevent someone else from coming by and stealing it.
Unfortunately, not. You have to take the unit out of it.
Gotcha. Because like Fellhogs definitely will contest a camp.
Right.
But an entry,
Because they're an actual unit.
Yeah.
So. Yeah.
But I kind of like that. I almost prefer the fact that like you have to have some kind of supply, or no, because Fellhogs don't count as supply. Never mind. I take it back. Meat farms OP.
Hogs are just too broken.
So I'm still trying to catch up. I mean, he got the Vision camp. He got the Luminite camp. And he's gonna go for the other camps.
You got
Doesn't mean like
trying
trying
to
take.
I
Well,
used to-
he got the money from
Yeah,
the
that's
Vision
fine.
camp.
Yeah.
I noticed you didn't get the energy camp. Was that a lack of desire, or just there's not enough time to do it?
I just felt pressure just to do like damage and like try to take the Luminite camps and stuff. So
Okay.
I also didn't want my units to get the debuff on my Lancers because he also built Lancers and they would just kind of die. But at this point, I knew I was in trouble, especially since he has the speed camp advantage. And so sometimes the defender's advantage is just too strong just because of like speed camps and like ramps and stuff. Especially in this game, I think the defender's advantage is extremely strong.
I think the camps that start off near your base, they're too strong in both directions, both in offense and defense. Like if you're scanned right now and you wedge yourself in right here with like a couple of Vulcans or something and an Atlas, you're never going to break that position because like anything that fights out of there is going to have that health regen forever. Like it makes it more interesting, but it's also very snowbally in both directions.
And now this is where I get desperate. Then sometimes my final move to see if I can win the game is I get a couple of Vulcans and I pull all the bobs. Sometimes it works. But Scan recognized that he's ahead enough that he can take a natural.
Yeah.
He's setting up a concave in my base, and at this point, he knows.
Yep.
There's also a fun interaction that's happening here as we get to the closing moments of the game, which is that the relationship between Hedgehog Lancer is pretty simple. You want to have more Lancers, you want to have enough Lancers that your opponent's Lancers can't walk up to you, and you want everything else to be Hedgehogs. So being down those 4 Lancers or so, they're soaking up literally dozens of Hedgehog shots, and Hedgehog DPS is front-loaded because of the way that their rocket recharge system works. So even being down a few Lancers like that, like it does cause scenarios like you just saw there. It makes it really rough.
So this is me attempting my last hurrah.
Okay. Charge of the Light Brigade.
But like, unfortunately, he scouts it, and the best response to this is that he makes his own Vulcans. Especially since the distance. Yeah, he's already expecting it. Because he already knows kind of like what I do when I'm super behind. So he has his own Vulcans. And I go up this ramp. Yeah.
So were you just super behind because you never built that natural, or?
No, I was super behind because I decided to do some dog aggression, but he decided to make 4 Lancers and take all the creeps super early. So at that point, he has more units, more workers, just more to work with. And so that was game 1.
He also has more implied map control, right? Because of the speed of scouts and the fact that they don't have to take a direct engagement, but the consequence is that they can't take a direct engagement, right? Like you kind of have to respect where he walks, whereas he doesn't have to treat your dogs with the same level of respect.
So Broken Crown, I'm like, oh man, what do I do?
Because this map is tiny in comparison.
Can I take a guess? You actually have like a cheeky siege on the low ground of his natural. That would make a lot of sense. I would expect something like that to be pretty good, given his relative newness at the time of this, right?
Well, at the time of this tournament, he was decently good, like very
Okay.
very good, probably one of the
Oh,
top
sure.
players. So I'm doing something cheeky like that. He kind of like expects it now.
Hmm. Okay.
I always love watching
I
Bob's
saw.
like turn
I
around and
saw
say,
that.
"Get out of here."
Yeah, so at this point, my thinking is that since he made a lot of lancers at the beginning, I'm just gonna go faster hedgehogs. Because when I scouted him, I saw one barracks, and it seemed similar to the last game. So if he's gonna make 4 lancers, it's better for me to make fast hedgehogs and be a little bit more aggressive, because I can just out kite the lancers.
Is he expected to get the speed camp in that interaction? Because by the time the first one comes out, it's what, 208, something like that. The first hedgehog.
Something like that.
Okay. Let's see, 208. He should have the fifth one lancer healing from critical health in the health camp. The 5th one showing up and then trying to contest the speed camp. Should be the way it organized. And then your hedgehog shows up and you can actually force him to never successfully take the speed camp.
And then one thing to notice, I know I'm like behind on supply, but that's because he's making lancers. So it's gonna be like a game of unit efficiency later. So hey, if you can steal one, that'd be nice. I think I got that one. I think I got
Very
that
nice.
one. I don't know if I got that one. I got that one.
He did.
That's so spicy.
It is dog micro around like yeah, dog creep theft micro is so sick to watch.
Yeah. So if you're gonna go dog opener against a lancer player, this is something you kind of have to keep in mind and do. I was trying to steal a health camp, but I didn't realize it was gonna be still there, so I lost that dog, which was pretty bad.
There's that Chuck coming in. Just imagine you're trying
Yeah.
to onboard someone into Stormgate and you're like, listen guys, we have to teach you about the dog theft creep microeconomy.
Yeah.
He actually, what does he spend his Therium on? Because my understanding is that Scan should have, there we go, there's the mech bay with that 2 hedgehogs coming in. Because my expectation was that if he continued Lancers, he would have 5 Lancers and the mech bay coming up while he's contesting the speed camp. But it looks like instead he has just said, I'm gonna use this build in such a way, once I scout the second dog, the second scout, you're probably gonna go into hedgehogs. Do you think that's star sense? Is that just practice? What do you chalk that up to?
It's just kind of like the flow of the game, you know. I mean, he sees my hedgehog, he knows it's coming, so you know, let's just go for it, you know. This is not me purposely doing the creep dragging. This was just by accident. It just happens. I don't understand why this behavior seems to happen the most on Broken Crown, but this was not on purpose.
That is interesting. Also, do you ever do it where okay, yeah, you did sell your barracks to build another mech bay.
I do that also to you just have to remember to do it after you get the tier 2 upgrade, because sometimes some people forget that you need the barracks to go to tier 2.
Yeah.
So at this point I'm feeling pretty good. You know, I stole some camps, you know. I feel like I'm already ahead in the hedgehog count. I know I'm ahead in the hedgehog count just because I opened hedgehogs. And I know I'm.
For you, what's like you're feeling good, but what are you watching out for here as you're trying to grind the advantage forward?
Probably like a Vulcan all in. So like a 4 Vulcan push timing is also very strong that people like to do these days. So you have to keep scouting for that. Maybe scout for maybe a hangar bay. Some people like to do like a Vulcan drop to come back in the game.
Yes.
Really, I'm looking for Vulcans.
Okay. Is
So
it
at this
just the Vulcans, or is
point,
it the threat of the mobs surrounding it as well? Is it the all-in, or just how many shots the Vulcan takes is how effective it is?
just the all-in.
Okay,
So
gotcha.
at this point, I knew I had more headshots, so I decided to just go in his base and hope that I get straggler headshots. This is something you can do if you think you're ahead in the headshot count. So you just go straight into the base, and you see, oh, I catch 2 for free. And at this point, he's trying to counterattack, but you know I have overcharge, and I also have more headshots coming out, so this is gonna be a rough fight for him. And then I'm
Also
just coming back. Yeah.
It's also the threat that if he goes in there and then you seal off the exit from the natural, he just loses all of his units and the game is
You're
over,
trapped
right?
in here with me, is what it turns into.
Yes, yes.
So I like to save my I like to save my promotes until the fight happens, so that way I can just use my promotes on the ones that are actually taking the shots.
Yeah.
There's like a pro and con to that. The pro being, you know, you take more shots. The con is your creeping is gonna be slightly slower than your opponent. So I like the taking better.
Well, there is another one, right? Don't you also lose on the damage that Hedgehog could have done if it was full health at the time, at the start of the fight?
Yeah.
Because you also get percentage bonus damage, right?
Yeah.
Very nice. Well, this looks dominant for you. It looks pretty good.
Yeah. And then at this point, I'm like, oh, I actually won this game.
And this is just when it's over.
And this is when it's over, especially when they pull the bobs. Especially when they pull the bob, it's like a big kind of win, just because they don't get the mining time.
Yeah.
And pulling bobs, you lose a lot of mining time.
So is there a when you go Mass
good
Hedgehog, do you ever build a repair-matic inside of your main just in case you need to go back and defend? Because that's just one bob instead of a whole crowd of them. But
yeah, I could. I just don't do it. To me, I don't know. I feel like I think it is a good idea, to be honest. I just feel like I'd rather have the Luminite, honestly, and save the Luminites for like another Hedgehog or something.
Yeah.
And a potential maybe natural.
So yeah, I used to think that you could take a natural in this matchup, or like a fast. Is there any fast expand build, or is that just not possible at the moment?
I think a fast expanding build is 100% viable in this matchup, especially on bigger maps like this. It's definitely viable.
So it is possible. We just haven't seen it. Okay.
Yeah, it's not. I think it's not as popular as it should be. I think people are just kind of timid that the opponent has like a lot more units than you. But Mana does it a lot. Mana does it a lot. He's like the best player that I know that does it and wins a lot of games with it.
Well, that's definitely where you would see like a repair turret at the natural if you were going for hedgehogs at that point. I'm assuming you'd have to do something like that to survive.
So you also go for the double racks here. Is that because you scouted double racks that you make it, or what? Like,
no, I want to say I just did it just because like the creeping is just kind of easier because the health camp is really close and they can't really contest it.
Yeah.
I think Scan has the same idea.
I've seen. Actually, I think it was you that I saw that microed a dog out of a slime death just so it wouldn't get hit by the debuff when a slime dies. But I think if you're going full dogs, like then that dog has to run all the way back in to get stuff, and it just might not be worth the micro. Or maybe that was someone that was creeping with like Lancer dog, and they just pulled the dog. I think it was Albino. Maybe it was Albino that was talking about it. You have to pull the dog back so it doesn't get hit with,
Oh yeah. You have to pull the dog back so it doesn't get hit by all 5 slimes.
Yeah. Because then the one slime that it's fighting just nukes it.
Yeah. So at this point, I'm going for the regular build. You usually want to build the mech bay at 75 Ethereum because 50 for the mech bay, and you can immediately build a hedgehog. I saw him go dog, so I decided to build 2 lancers in the mix. This is something you might see other players do, mixing in 2 lancers just so they can win the dog war. The thing with that is you also sacrifice like your hedgehog timing, so you get less hedgehogs overall.
Yeah. So what do you think about the health camp that can heal on the low ground, but you can't capture from the low ground? Do you think that's good, or should it be changed where like someone can contest from the low ground? Because I think it's
One more
almost
time.
like, so this is your health camp, right? Your units, if they're on the low ground, if they're inside of the red circle, they still get healed. But if the enemy comes over and they're on the low ground, they can't contest this. They can't contest the camp from the low ground.
Right.
Do you think that's the way that's fine, that's working as intended, or do you think they should be able to contest from the low ground? Like if you're over here sieging him up, and you're like shooting all the stuff over here, should you be able to capture this camp from the low ground?
I want to say, that is a behavior I wish it would happen, especially on like maps like Lost Hope, where contesting the speed camp is really difficult. Let's say if you're talking about Lost Hope, right, and you spawn top right, and the other player spawns bottom right. If they always get the speed camp advantage, the top right player, and so if we can just if like we can take camps even on a low ground or high ground, like the one you were describing earlier, I think it'd be good for the game.
I think the speed camp on Lost Hope is on the low ground though, right?
It's on the low ground, but it's the same behavior. It's the same behavior,
yeah,
right?
You can't
So like can't take it from the high ground. And I think that's another thing that makes the speed camp kind of strong, and it gives a pretty. I like to think it's a pretty big advantage for the player who spawns with the speed camp on their side. At this point, I'm thinking, what should I do?
So you've got 3 hogs, a couple of dogs, 4 lancers, 4 hogs, 4 lancers, 5 dogs, 4 dogs.
Yeah.
The classic 4-4-4.
4-4-4. Unfortunately, I decided to take a really bad fight. I mean, I just sometimes even I sometimes forget that like the defender's advantage is super strong. So he has the health cap advantage, and he has the reinforcing army, and this map is also big, so you have to take that into account when you're being aggressive as well.
So because the map is so big though, I'm surprised you guys haven't, like, neither one of you started a natural yet.
Yeah, this is one of the maps that you could go, CC first, and I think it would be not bad to go. The thing is, once you get to this point, it's kind of hard to go take your natural, just because you'll have like a couple more hedgehogs. Yeah, it's a little bit risky. If you're not maybe with good control you can hold it, but if you're not confident in your control, I don't recommend it, because that's like 2-3. It's like 3 or 4 hedgehogs that you're pretty much sacrificing.
Here's another thing that I thought was interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, so the creeps don't have any armor tags on their unit card, but Beowulf was saying in his YouTube comments that they do have armor types. It just doesn't show up in their card.
They do. This was very unfortunate.
Dude.
My siege game actually bugged.
No.
This game.
What?
And so this is me pinging the siege camp.
Frost Giant, if you're
bugged.
seeing this, Frost Giant. It's too bad. But
here
his
you'll
works.
see.
What the hell?
But here his works. Yeah. At this point, I'm panicking. I'm looking for the siege tank. I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't have a siege. I have V5 rocket. So I'm like searching for it, and I can't find it.
Oh, you
And
were
I'm
looking.
hoping and praying that my V5 rocket would just come. It never came, by the way.
No.
So here's me trying to focus it down, but I took a
Huge hit.
beefy
Yeah, that was
shot.
a gigantic shot.
And at this point, I knew the game was over.
And I think the health camps reset while you guys were out on the map too, so it's not like you can just like go back to the health camp and chill.
That was also very unfortunate. Yeah. I still think my army supply was too low to win that fight, but I do wonder what would have happened if I did have my own V5 rocket, because I had energy for top bar as well, and so the shield up for the V5 rocket. So yeah, I don't know. And at this point, I knew I lost.
Yeah.
I was like, well.
Jeez.
Yep, this was the game.
It's so interesting seeing
like,
seeing Korean pros that like for being at almost minute 9 here. This isn't a lot of base. It seems like the Korean pros are more focused on like building up units, or maybe it's just a Brood War thing, like building up a lot of units and not worrying as much about a base. I guess you did finally make your natural, but
yeah.
and so did he. But it's what?
So the Brewer
bombs?
players kite using the patrol key as well, which is another common habit I've seen across all the Brewer players.
What do you mean they kite with the patrol key?
They, instead of doing the normal kiting is right click A, left click right. They use control. They use the patrol button. So they do patrol left click, and then right click back. Patrol left click, right click back.
Does that change the behavior at all, or I mean, it's still the same turning radius, still firing the same.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't know if there is an actual advantage. It was just an interesting habit I saw.
That is interesting. You know what else is interesting?
Yeah.
This rocket casts a shadow on the floor there. That's really cool. I didn't know that. That and the munition actually has a yellow. It's a yellow tipped munition, which, anyway, you can Google what that means. I'm not gonna say that on a YouTube video, but yeah, good episode of Couch Casting, guys. Thank you.